How is it going, Divine Hailstorm? Welcome to the show, our #1 fan and viewer. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hungover podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Julien.
And I'm the other one, Ivan. And in my head, just then, I don't know how many, we've been doing this for a year and a half. I was like, okay, he's going to say that he's one of the hosts. And I was thinking, I'm one of the hosts. My name is Ivan. I was waiting for you to say, I'm one of the hosts, Ivan. And then it would be sent over to me. I got really confused.
We need to get a script
head.
down because we always change it. It's completely different every time. And that's what you guys tune in for, because you can get this podcast on a whole slew of different services out there. You can catch it in audio. You can catch it in audio form on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play on Mondays, typically around 9 a.m. You can also catch the video if you don't catch the stream on twitch.tv/GGBsgood, where you can interact live just like Divine Hailstorm is, ask us questions, contribute to the conversation as it goes, and, make a better podcast for us, because we're not very good with podcasts. But you can catch it on our YouTube channel at Hungover Gaming. That's our daily upload, our weekly upload. Definitely we get the podcast out. We're working on other content. I just uploaded a video to the channel where I unboxed something weird. A Nintendo Switch dock that doesn't have an HDMI pass-through, but it allows you to use USB controllers with a handheld Switch. It's pretty cool, if I do say so myself.
That's pretty dope.
But you gotta check out the video to know how cool. Ivan?
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about a serious topic in the video game industry that's been floating around.
Sexism.
A certain reviewer of IGN, Nintendo editor at IGN, allegedly plagiarized his review of Dead Cells. So we're going to open up the conversation to a broader conversation about plagiarism in journalism, as it were, and whether or not it happens quite often. We'll see where we go. But we start our podcast out every single week by asking each other, what did you drink last night, and what media have you been consuming this week?
Yeah, man. So for me, I went cosmic bowling again last night.
Very
Scored
cool.
over 100.
Better than Obama.
I know I'm really shit at bowling. Don't worry about it. I do feel it in my arm today. My muscles are tight. Why would you plagiarize a review? Well, that's what we're going to get into.
That's what we're going to get
into.
Don't you worry.
Anyway, I was chucking the ball down the lane. This time they had the miles per hour reader for how fast you throw it.
Very cool.
Can you guess how fast I was throwing this 13-pound ball down the lane?
Probably 20 miles an hour.
That's exactly right. 20 miles. It floated between 20, just above 20 or just below 20 miles per hour. I'm just fucking chucking it down. Divine Hailstorm underrating the Russian brute force approach.
That's so crazy. That's so fast. If that ball...
Power!
Why would you throw a ball that fast? Oh my god.
Just because I know. Well, one of the guys that we were with literally scored over 200 points.
Jeez,
so it's just
professional bowler over here.
Basically, he used to really really compete in bowling. He went to bowling camps, so there wasn't a lot of opportunity for me to be good, but I could make a name for myself by being weird.
Yeah, look.
So I just chose to chuck the ball as hard as I could.
Nice, very
there was
nice.
a really buff dude who was in the next lane over to us, who threw the ball, and it literally skipped off of his lane into the lane over.
Holy
And
crap.
gave one of the other players, and the three people at that lane weren't paying attention, and they got a gutter ball because of it to start the new game.
But the thing is, you do have the Zarya strength, and Zarya plus Wrecking Ball is a pretty sick combo. If you could have been throwing... Imagine if Zarya could throw Wrecking Ball and then throw a bubble on him. How cool would that be?
It's like the fastball special, but of Overwatch.
Yes, that would be awesome.
And then you attach Diva's boosters to it.
Yes, that would be... And if you also gave it the nano boost, it's just disgusting. So much damage.
But old school nano boost, which was also increased speed.
That would be so sick. Instantly hits top speed, starts flaming. It would be crazy. This game is really fun. You should check it out everywhere on PC. It's a fun game. Yvonne, what else did you guys do?
We went to a party on Friday where I made a tarte citron for
Very
it.
nice.
So that's like a lemon souffle tart, which was almost perfect. I think the crust, it was my first time like homemaking crust, and the recipe, like, it really gave me too much dough, I think, because it was like everybody could eat. It was a universal crust recipe, and then you're supposed to technically know how thin or whatever to roll it out. I am not very used to having to roll out my own dough that much. The only thing I roll dough out for is quiche, which can take a heavier crust just due to the contents going in. But a souffle requires, like, there was too much crust versus how much. So the filling was like this much, which shrank down to like this much, and was spot on. It was perfect. It wasn't too sweet. It was very lemony. It's a very nice, like, summer, late fall treat. I like it in the summer, I think, a lemon tart. But the crust was like half that size, or like a third of that size, so it was overbearing to things. So it'll require a lot more rolling out the next time I do it, which is good to know. But you know, it was fun to do anyway. I enjoyed
delicious.
It. And I also almost got a job offer to be a baker.
Very cool. I mean,
at a local
you weren't
cafe.
even expecting that.
No,
well,
I wasn't.
Better than nothing, right? Got to start somewhere.
You do have to start somewhere. Julien, where did you start this week?
This week, boy oh boy, it was a fun week because there was an amazing, in the middle of the week anyways, we got the Nintendo Direct for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, seemingly an oasis in the middle of the summer of, video gaming news. It was so epic. Holy crap. It was about 25 minutes of me jizzing my pants over how much Super Smash Bros. Ultimate news was, thrown at me. Basically, Sakurai was measuring his dick, based on how many things they jammed into this game, and he's really throwing that log on the table, He's just slamming it on the table. He's like, fuck all these other games. We got 67 characters that you fucking all love. And we also have, if we include the stage, we have 103 stages. But if you include all the permutations of every stage, you got over 300 stages.
Is it over 300?
Yes. And the Castlevania stage alone has 30 different tracks. What the fuck? What? Also, there's 29 hours of music in the game. You can pick 2 stages and have them morph between each other at random points in the game. And there's like an Iron Man mode where you start off the game, everyone picks their character, then the next game they can no longer pick that character. It's like Lockout in Overwatch. Cool. They just keep throwing shit into the game. I cannot wait for this game. And it just made me really sad that it's not December 7th. So disappointed. But that was the middle of the week. I did stream the Breath of the Wild on Friday. That was very fun. We're moving forward. We're moving forward in the game, master mode. Check me out. I'm gonna be streaming it every Friday for the foreseeable future until we beat the game. On this Twitch channel. So it's in the links in the description below if you're watching later, not live. But Ivan, I also got to hang out with my friends on Saturday, and I hung out quite a bit too late. I intended to get home before midnight so I could stream, but I got home at like 3:30 to 4 a.m. I'm not sure. Really overshot that one. It was bad, but we got really missed out on that time. But the one beer, it's a beer that I drank was a Citrus Jammer Gose. Gose. I never know how to pronounce that one. It's from 6 Point Brewery. It's very it's sort of like Leinenkugel's Shandy, lemonberry. What is it? The Shandy, lemonberry Shandy. What was it called?
But they've got a bunch of shandies, like grapefruit, lemon.
Oh, the grape. It's sort of like the grapefruit shandy. Then that's what I meant. It's very, very light. Doesn't really have that hoppy flavor that you would expect from a beer.
It's a Gosu beer.
Gosu. Oh, Gosu. But this is really light, nice in the summertime, and I would drink this outside if the opportunity presented itself with me. Ivan.
Citrus Jammer Goose.
Holy crap, it's great. There's also a game that I've been playing that came out.
You don't play games.
I don't play games, you're right. That came out on Tuesday called Dead Cells. Let me tell you about this game, Ivan.
Very excited.
Very excited.
How would you, if you were to review this game, how would you review it?
I would review it in a non-plagiarized way.
Solid start, better than most.
Let me tell you, it's a very exciting action platforming game that has some really fast-paced combat. It's really awesome. It's procedurally generated, and that actually immediately turned me off from the game. Not while I was playing it, but just hearing about it. Oh, this game's procedurally generated. It's going to be different every time. I don't typically get latched on to those types of games, but this one's really got me hooked because as you progress through, you collect these blue cells, and you can use them to permanently upgrade and unlock weapons. You can permanently upgrade your character. Basically, the whole idea of these types of games is to there's sort of an element of luck in the game, but you sort of have to run through the level, the first couple levels, sort of gathering up a bunch of resources, and then you build out your character's build with certain weapons that stack together, and then you start stacking multiplayers on it, and then you just sort of snowball through the entire game. And that's the idea of these types of games. You get your perfect build, and then you get your perfect run through the game, and then you can have a lot of fun with these. But that being said, it's actually quite a difficult game. And the idea of the game is to... I'm not entirely sure what the story is, but you just get revived every single time you die. And you wake up in this prison cell, and then you go out, and you're basically just trying to kill a bunch of enemies. There's really no story. I don't know.
It's basically Destiny.
It's Destiny or some other game. You're just delving deeper and deeper into these various areas that are that show up at different... So there are, I think, maybe 5 or 6 different levels that are all set in a specific like it has a specific theme to the level, let's say, like it's a toxic sewer or the outside castle or what have you, and you find at the end of each level it links to the safe room where you can upgrade, and then you move on to the next level, which so basically you're running to different levels each run, so it's a different order each time.
So it's kind of like a procedurally generated
game.
Okay. No, well, I was thinking like it's more like a procedurally generated run from safe house to safe house. So it's like a 2D version of Left 4 Dead. But because it's the specific... Well, I'm talking about there's a massive amount of enemies. You're going to be killing the same enemies over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'd say there's a pretty decent enemy variety in the game, but I haven't even seen all the enemies, obviously. I'm not that
I've never played Castlevania or Rogue.
So that's the cool thing about it is it gives you just enough of a feeling of accomplishment each run. You sort of feel like you've leveled yourself up just a little bit, so you're like, oh, I'll just run another run again and keep going even after you die for the millionth time. So it's a really exciting feeling when you play this game. I think I highly suggest anyone who likes action platformers, and Divine Hailstorm says you make your own story, it's a fan-made lore. I agree, definitely that's what you're making up. But yeah, so it's a really exciting experience.
So it is
you
like
can
Destiny.
pick it up on... It's just like Destiny. No, you can pick up your own copy of the game on Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One or PC, so it's everywhere. And I believe it's $20. That's what I got it for. So it's
That's not bad. That's
yeah,
a
it's
fun
a
price
very
point.
fun game. I think it's you get a lot of hours out of this game. I think it's worth your time. And Yvonne, you know who may or may not have lost their job over this game? And
Pretty
their
sure they did
idea?
lose their job.
Yes, I know. This person at IGN, which is the old Imagine Games Network. It doesn't actually stand for that, but IGN anymore, anyways. IGN is the pretty much the biggest gaming and just media website on the internet right now. I would say they're the most popular. They always have all the latest news, breaking stories, things like that. Reviews, definitely. Biggest gaming review website as well, I would say. They have a Nintendo editor there. His name is Philip Mewson, or they did, anyways. They hired him about 9 months ago, I believe. I'm not exactly sure exactly when, but he was hired to take over the role of the head Nintendo editor there. He originally got noticed because he had a YouTube channel where he reviewed Nintendo games, specifically Nintendo Switch games, and played them as well. He did Let's Plays as well, kind of like what we do, but
Yeah.
not on. Well, he had way more followers and things like that.
Well,
so
he also worked for IGN. So
well, no, he got picked up because of it. So 9 months
Okay.
prior, he still had a YouTube channel, but now he still has his YouTube channel. He was assigned to play and review Dead Cells when it came out, and which was this Tuesday. And he put out his video review along with his written review of the game. And a certain YouTuber was alerted that it sounded a little fishy. The exact words coming out of his mouth when he recorded his VO for the video review sounded a little similar. You know, some would say almost exactly similar to Boomstick Gaming's prior review a week and a half before this review came out. Boomstick Gaming put out a review of Dead Cells because the game's been in early access for quite some time, so people had access to the game. So this person has had around maybe 12,000 subscribers, I think, Boomstick Gaming before this, and then IGN put out the review. And then he made a response video. He's like, IGN plagiarized my Dead Cells review. What do I do? Where he basically he put both videos side by side, both audio perfectly in sync, and just let it go. He had the IGN review and then his review, and he said, that sounds very similar to what I just said. And so basically the whole story is IGN was alerted of this. They took down the review. They took down the Dead Cells review that Philip had written and produced, and then they said they're investigating it.
Right, and then this is the statement that they had released on August 7th. We've reviewed the allegations against one of our writers regarding a review of Dead Cells. After taking the time to investigate, we determined that there was a substantial similarities between a review posted weeks earlier and our review that could not be justified and warranted taking down.
Yes.
Though we as a community often share feelings and even certain word choices describe the games we love by using similar frames of understanding, this particular situation stepped over the line and is not a reflection of our editorial standards. It goes on to apologize to the game developer and the YouTuber known as Boomstick Gaming.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, what's interesting is this guy Philip Mewson, right?
Yeah, I think that's how he pronounced his last name.
There's an article here on Kotaku, which has updates, and it claims that this isn't the first time that he has been accused of plagiarizing.
Yeah.
And so there are two other pretty good examples. One from a FIFA 18 review, one which was published in Nintendo Life, and the other one which was copied by Mewson, and then another one which
allegedly copied by him. Yeah.
But sounds very similar and allegedly copied. Another one is the Engadget review of Metroid Samus Returns, of which there are almost word-for-word quotes. So it does feel like this may be an example of a kind of forming pattern. And when you have that level of intensity of having to play games, review, and push forward, there are shortcuts that you might want to take. And I think this is what is very... I think it's a very difficult thing to review, like the difference between reviewing a movie, a book, and a video game, right?
Yeah.
It's just intensely different. And like most people who are like on the back of cover jackets or whatever who have reviewed books, they've been given super advanced copies. They get a lot of time. But even a book, a large book, might take 20 to 40 hours to read. The largest size book.
Just to read, right?
Just, But like a video game might require a lot more time and attention to understand its full thing. A lot of video games that come out nowadays, like the longer ones, they're like, you need 6 hours just to get started with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like a longer JRPG or something. And when you're reviewing Nintendo games, those are the kinds of games that will come up more often than not. So I'm wondering also, I don't take the stance that it's okay to plagiarize.
I do not either. It's fucked up. You should never do that.
Right. I'm not saying that this is an excuse to do plagiarism, but I'm saying that it is more likely that I think that you would get people taking a lazier way out, or like finding shortcuts when it's just such a dense medium.
Yeah,
do you think that there's a way around that, or
I'm
is
sorry.
that?
Ask the question again.
Do you think that there's a way around, or do you think it is more prevalent to have those kinds of shortcuts in games reviews and games journalism?
Review? I'm not sure. I mean, I typically I follow if I'm looking for an opinion on a game, I listen to the Kind of Funny podcasts that they put out. They always have opinions that I respect, at least. If I like similar games to them, so I'm going to listen to their opinions on games that they get to play early. I listen to Jim Sterling. I actually really like him. He makes a lot of videos about the video game industry. His weekly show is called the Jimquisition, where he basically picks a topic in the video gaming industry, such as like microtransactions from a certain company, and sort of discusses it as a whole and why it's maybe a bad thing to have in the video game industry. And then I also turn to IGN actually quite a bit when I'm picking up a game. If I'm looking at a game that I would actually make my decision based off of a review, then I would turn to those resources. But I think I'm not sure the type of workload these people are put under, such as the Nintendo editor at IGN. I'm not entirely sure what type of workload he's put under. I assume he had juggled a bunch of different things at the same time. I'm not trying to defend his plagiarist act. I definitely agree with Boomstick Gaming. It's very fishy that they pretty much sound exactly the same. And IGN, I think, took the correct course of action in firing him, taking down his review, and investigating. And I think they handled it pretty well. Although
I would agree.
Although and also, by the way, I mean there's some sort of submit approval process to put up something on their website from every editor. That being said, there is absolutely no way they could have caught this because it was from a smaller YouTube channel, right? So the IGN editor, the chief editor, let's say, the guy who approves everything, I think his name is Dan Stapleton, actually. There's no way he could have known that this was plagiarized because he's not watching every single review that's put out in a game, specifically, smaller YouTube channels. How is he supposed to even know about this type of thing? But yeah, look, Divine Hailstorm says he could totally write reviews for games. I think it would be it's a very sought after job, actually, by a lot of gamers nowadays anyways. And, Philip was in a very privileged position, Philip Mewson. That is not a job that you don't want to squander, that type of opportunity with such a poor decision, and I think he
think
really
that's
made a
why
mistake.
I think that's why there's a lot of possibilities for having the internet jump on you at this point, because
Right.
a lot of people who play lots of video games want to have a career in video games, whether it be making them, reviewing them, playing them for quality assurance, etc.
I would totally love his job, or his ex job.
Being such an elevated position in the Nintendo community is I think especially kind of praised position, especially at IGN, a big network that a lot of people depend on gaming news for. So it is kind of like a huge letdown when somebody who has so much, so many resources available, so much voice that they can use from their channel to go ahead and try and copy a smaller YouTube channel.
Yeah, I can't believe that he would have thought that he could have gotten away with this. Given the amount of eyes are on IGN, they're really held to such a high standard. But of course, that being said, everyone's willing to or trying to take them down. You know, there's such a popular website. Their fans are very, you know, I don't know how often you go to the comment section of IGN, but they're really toxic and horrible people, honestly, or at least the people who are commenting. Obviously, there's, you know, the silent majority and then the vocal minority there. But I mean, the amount of hate mail that this guy has gotten based off of this, and not to mention, I'm sure plenty of people who work at IGN now are getting a lot of hate because just the whole website as a whole is getting a lot of hate for this type of situation. Again, I think that they handled the situation correctly, and I don't think that... But there is the question, right? Like, shouldn't there be... I assume there's some sort of rigorous vetting process for writers at the website. How did they hire him? Why did they hire him? You know, how did they not... know that this might happen? I don't know, that type of situation, right? They had to have looked through his resume at some point, right?
Yeah, and I think that there's probably a pretty intense vetting process when it comes to that level position. However, the internet is vast, and the reviews are infinite, and one of the things that is very different between like a video game review on YouTube versus a published article. So like published articles get bound into some sort of codified database. You can search out on several different databases published articles, whether they be news, journals, magazines, etc. So when it's a written review that gets published somewhere, for instance a website or a journal, you can find it and you can analyze it and you can do a lot of review on it. And if you're like a copy editor and you get this review of, let's say, Dead Cells, then you can look through and find, okay, here are the similarities, or this is where different things have pinged on in terms of where other things are published.
Right.
The real problem comes in when it's a YouTube video and you just don't have the hours to search through, and there aren't significant search engines that can do that kind of video scrubbing to find similarities between a written or a video review and another video review. It's just not available.
Right, exactly.
So I think that it's an interesting conundrum when I think the U.S. in general, we don't read, we don't write.
Yeah.
Everything is photos or videos. So it's going to, I think it's going to be an increasing problem rather than a reduced problem. I think this is going to bring to light more and more cases where smaller creators are going to feel ripped off by larger creators.
Yeah.
And we've gone through these cycles before. It's not the first time that a small creator has cried wolf against a large creator, content creator, saying they stole my idea. But there's, you know, the old saying, you know, if you think it, it already exists.
Or what is the porn one version of that?
Rule 34.
Rule 34. Yeah. And I mean, that being said, I mean, there are only so many ways to describe, you know, the action in a video game. They both use the words fast-paced action or something of that ilk. I don't know exactly the correct word, the words that they
We have a lexicon
Yeah.
It's a shared lexicon, so it's a shared vocabulary that
Metroidvania, right? That
exactly.
type of thing, right? So if it exists, there is porn of it. Exactly, Divine Hailstorm. That is actually true on the internet.
I have stumped Rule 34 before. I'm just saying. But there, with a shared vocabulary, then it comes down to what is the order of the words that you're putting in.
Right,
The
exactly.
order of the words. Because a lot of the times also, when we're describing a video game and we're reviewing something, we're always going to be, or not always, but we're often going to be describing the same actions or like playthrough, gameplay style, etc. And then we have our lexicon database of words to use towards it. Now,
Right.
when there are really extreme versions of that, and then they get pared down, then it's a little bit more weird to say that's real plagiarism. Like one of the other versions that was brought up is like something like a greased up jazz player or something like that in one of the reviews, and it was nowhere near poetic.
Okay.
In how Musin published it. Sorry, I'm enjoying a ginger soda.
Nice.
On the side, so
Looks
I'm
good.
having to take breaks for. But in any case, I really think that the lexicon is limiting in how we do things, and then we're all talking about the same subject. So we have a specific lexicon, a very specific detail that we're trying to talk about. So it might not be beyond the realm of thought that we are going to say the same words about the same thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. That, but right. So that's true.
That's what you were saying in
That's
fewer
what I was
words
saying.
about 4 minutes ago when I started speaking.
Yes, and then I lost my train of thought, and then like, what the hell am I talking about?
I
Thanks,
wanted to
Yvonne.
jump in, Julien.
But that's the thing, though. What you just did was not plagiarizing me. I said what you said in a like in 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But you fleshed it out, and it's different. So the key problem was with this situation. Again, if you go watch the video on Boomstick Gaming, it's very evident that this review was plagiarized, or at least in my opinion it is.
And IGN's own opinion.
And IGN's own opinion as well. It's not just like, oh, he said the same thing about this. You know, he said a very similar thing. He pretty much said almost word for word the same thing, right? So this is the type of thing that you might have to deal with in school. You might have to deal with this type of thing. I think that's commonly the most the point at which plagiarism is most prevalent is probably at school, in school settings in America, I'm guessing.
Most definitely.
Copy paste is so easy to do nowadays that it's pretty ridiculous.
I might have transcribed some French homework back in 7th grade.
Back in 7th grade. Well, in 7th grade, it's not the worst situation. It's not like your career is on the line here. Philip Musin, however, no longer has I would have to say this has damaged his reputation, maybe to the point of no return, when it comes to his credibility in the video game journalism sphere. That being said, he could still be a popular.
To come back from it.
Yeah, he could still be a popular YouTuber. Obviously, working at IGN got him many more subscribers, I'm guessing, and followers on Twitter, that type of thing. So in all though, the people that come out on top in this situation are actually the Dead Cells developers, because I think their name is Motion Twin, and Boomstick Gaming comes out on top in this situation as well.
The video where he claimed that the plagiarism existed and it went through, it was 1 million something views now.
Exactly.
Which is
so in a
tremendous,
week, got 1 million
exponentially
views.
More than how many he usually got.
Yes, and look, that being said, IGN should probably be like, oh, we should just hire this guy instead, because he apparently put out a very good review. I listened to his review. I thought it was very nice. He talked about the game thoroughly as well. I think that may be on the table for him.
Apparently it's high enough quality that IGN would already publish it.
Exactly, right. If IGN's own editor is about to copy from it, then it's a pretty high quality review. Um, and of course, Motion Twin comes out on top in this situation because now the game is in the media, or in the, you know, everyone's talking about the game, like, oh, maybe I should just check out this game now. It's pretty sick. So that's great for them. They definitely deserve to sell more copies of the game, I think. It's a great game. But Ivan,
too bad it's for the Switch.
it's not just for the Switch. It's great on the Switch, though. It's also on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Yeah, I think obviously we both agree that plagiarism is just a horrible thing and should really be taken way more seriously than, you know, what you might think. You know, you don't really
I think it's
that
been
something's
taken pretty
plagiarized.
seriously here, but
Yeah,
it's interesting that, you know, it's games journalism. It's not generally something that's immensely considered to be like the epitome of journalistic endeavors and integrity.
Right, definitely not nowadays. But I think that there's a certain credibility that we all need to hold our journalists to. I think that's really important. Are they getting the facts straight? Are they reporting without a bias? Are they actually reporting their own thoughts? You know, that type of thing. So that's something that you just have to think about if you're looking to become a games journalist or just a journalist in general. I think that there are a lot of great schools out there that try to drill that into your head. I think Syracuse has a really good journalist school, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Top in the country.
Top in the country. Should have went there and then straight to IGN. Damn. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? We also should have streamed while we were in college too, but that was expensive. Anyways,
it was too expensive.
It was.
Anyways, I think what interesting thing is to move kind of forward off of something that's been kind of resolved is just like what is the purpose of games journalism, right? It's the purpose of games journalism is either to review games,
yep, or
to publish notes on the industry. And I think game review, if you look at like journalism and reviews,
right,
I don't really think that they're necessarily always going to be classified in the same category of journalism. Not that integrity doesn't matter there, but it's just like a lot of people who are journalists are like finding stories, researching them, publishing them, or doing daily notes. Like you have White House reporters, etc., science reporters, things like that. So they're following news and reporting news. And not a lot of like science journalists out there are like, here's my review of this paper, right?
Well, yeah.
So it's an intriguing thing to me, like what is the blend, what is the uniqueness of games journalism that I think it's dominated more so by reviews than anything else.
I would say there's definitely it's either basically the articles that show up on IGN, the most I think the ones that get the most hits are probably the reviews on IGN. I don't have their statistics in front of me, and I'm not sure I could ever get those statistics, but that's what I'm guessing. Then the next thing down is probably reporting news being dropped. So let's say Nintendo, all the news from the Nintendo Direct, that's probably a very popular hit right now on IGN. Someone had to write it all down and then put it on the website. And then actually every now and then they throw up op-eds, which I like to read sometimes on IGN. I actually go to their website quite often. Yeah, they get to put out op-eds. I think the company as a whole allows their reviewers and personalities on their website to be a little more creative if they want to be. So I think I applaud them for that. That's pretty cool. It makes them more unique website, and that's pretty cool. So I think those are like the three, and then the wikis. The people that write the guides for the games, those are, I think their GTA 5 wiki is still gets like 1 million hits every day or something. It's crazy. But yeah, so the people who write those and spend like hours upon hours trying to find every single nook and cranny in the game, that's the type of stuff that goes up on their website. So yeah, that's I would say that's the ranking of popular things on their website. But
and then you have other places like other
Kotaku,
like Kotaku, Polygon, places like that. If you look at Kotaku, the 3 articles that they have listed at the top, at least for me, 21 things we learned about Fallout 76 today. Former IGN reviewer responded. And Inside the Culture of Sexism at Riot Games. Now, that one I know has been there for a little bit. But it's an intriguing thing, right? It's not just a video game review. So it's video games.
Yeah.
It's video game industry journalism. And then it's also a review of what the industry is like.
Speaking of reviews, Divine Hailstorm says he's about to write a review of this podcast. You can go ahead and do that on iTunes and give us a 5-star review. That would be really nice, Divine Hailstorm. And everyone listening to the podcast, later on, perhaps in audio form, that would be really helpful for our visibility. Sort of like Motion Twin, any sort of media presence is good for them, just like us. Give us a 1-star review. Give us a 5-star review. We don't care.
I was going to say just like Philip Mewson.
Just
Any
like
kind
Philip
of
Mewson.
news is... Oh, wait.
Oh, God.
Is there something that needs to change within the industry of reviewing games?
Of reviewing games. That is a good question.
I think it's much more challenging to review a game than it is to review almost any other mass medium.
Yeah. I would agree with that because not only I think it's much more of a personal experience to play a video game. I think the way you interact, because it's such an interactive medium, that part of the game, is it really fun to play, is weighed differently than did I have a good time watching this movie, or did I have an epiphany reading this book or something. So I think that is weighed higher than, say, does the camera actually control well, the actual mechanics of the game, is the lighting good, are the graphics appealing to me. So I think I think it's a much more of, I actually don't necessarily want to say that, but when you're reading reviews, you have to hold in mind what type of person is reviewing this product or this medium, whatever it is, and you have to ask yourself, do you agree with this person?
And we know from the industry that there's some, like, developers hope that X person reviews their game because they like that style of game more, so they have a higher chance of presenting a better review of that game.
Exactly. So that's very true. I don't think, at least not in IGN, I don't think there's ever a case of developers paying, an IGN staff member to give them a good review. That would be really horrible on both sides of the coin, to have that happen. So I don't think that they're ever bribed to give a good review. That type of situation. But
even so, like, you submit it and you hope that X person is going to be the person who writes or plays the game, writes the review, or helps edit the review, etc. And so even if it's not a physical bribe, it's like you send it in, especially to the attention of X person, or with the hope that that person will be the person up in the slot of reviewers that they have. So like a good video game length for a RPG is what, 6 to 8 hours?
Like, you mean like Call of Duty, for instance, or
like a first-person shooter is generally like 6 to 8 hours if you want it. Action adventure games can be super long
or super short. It definitely varies on the type of the game. But for instance, like The Witcher 3, that was like a 200-hour game. To write the wiki or something.
You're supposed to play through according to IGN's own statement, you're supposed to play through a game at least once. Imagine having to play through The Witcher once just to play it through, and then you have to play it through again to capture video, and then you can write your gameplay.
Exactly right. So I mean,
it's
I don't.
That's a ton of hours.
That you better hope they sent the game early to them at that point. But yeah, so I mean, a thing like that, I agree they should play the game through once, but I don't think I think you can formulate your opinion of the game basically by the halfway point. Playing through the single player mode, at that point you're fairly experienced with the game. You understand the mechanics, you understand whether or not you like the game. So I think that being said, your original question is, should there be a change in the way video games are reviewed? I don't really see a problem with how at least the people that I follow review games, but I only follow a couple people because I share common opinions about video games that they do.
So you've pared down your trust, your trust.
Yeah, at this point, I ain't got time to waste. All right, they save me so much time when deciding to buy a video game. But for instance, like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I don't give a fuck who reviews that. I'm getting that game no matter what. I can't wait. But for a game like Dead Cells, I turn to different people to see if this game's going to be really exciting. So that's why I bought the game.
To you because you buy the game more often.
Yeah, it's true.
For me, what's way
how do
more,
you buy a game? That's a good question.
Like for me, I don't buy as many games as you do, quite clearly. But the like there are three main ways that I will decide whether or not to buy a game. The first and foremost, is it on sale?
Yes, that's a huge, and for many people that is a very valid thing to have happen.
That's a
so
huge
Steam,
factor.
You're doing great.
Yeah. Is it on sale? Is it on sale, or is it a game franchise that I have played and liked before?
Yeah.
Those are like the first criteria. The second criteria is like, have I played it firsthand? So like, I went and played Everybody's Golf at your house, and then I came home and I bought it, and Laura and I, Laura and I play it all the time. We're rank 4 now.
Oh, that's awesome!
In the single player, we have
Everybody's
unlocked a bunch
Golf is so fun.
Courses and stuff. Yeah, it's actually one of the only video games that Laura and I both enjoy playing together.
That's exciting.
So we found a video game that both of us liked, and that was perfect. And then the third way that I like things other than, or I would buy something other than playing it physically, is like Let's Plays.
Yeah.
And seeing actual gameplay footage. I don't generally rely on reviews. And the reason that I don't rely on reviews is for the same reason that I don't really read or rate like film reviews before I play them, or before I watch them rather. I would rather play the game, draw my own opinion, then see how other people saw, rated, etc. the movie, and then like, okay, this is what I had, this is what I missed, this I completely disagree on. Because, like you said, everybody has a different sense of what's fun or what games they like. Yeah. Like, for instance, I love Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3, and it is a universally panned game, but I played the crap out of that game, and it's fun for me. So and like, you would never be caught dead playing it for more than 6 hours.
Well, Ivan, I agree with what you're saying, but I think the common thing now, or at least on IGN, is to put out a video review as well. So I typically make my opinion based off of those, and if I really want more details, I'll read the review. The written reviews usually provide a lot more details at IGN. So the video review is really important to me because, like you said, you watch Let's Plays of the game. This shows me some footage of the game. Does it look smooth? Does it look exciting to play? That's really important to me.
But that's why I like Let's Plays, because a video review is still a very condensed, edited medium. And Let's Plays are like, you'll see the first hour of a game, and that can give you a lot of information about graphics, in like style of gameplay, is it going to be something that can grab my attention?
Yeah,
now a lot of times you can't judge a game by first hour, right? That's the whole thing that we were saying. Like, video game reviews require you playing the entirety of the game or a large chunk. And then I'm saying I can't rely on those reviews. I need to only watch 1 hour of gameplay. So it's a really what's that called? The thing where it's hypocritical, I think, to be like, I can't rely on reviews because I don't see it, but they're investing way more time in the game than I am.
Yeah. Well,
with a 1 hour Let's Play.
Well, that's how it works, right? Do you think that they can change anything about the video game industry and how they review video games then?
I think that a lot of the journalistic practices that exist in terms of finish the game, then play more to record videos, like, I think a lot of that is there. I think the real difficulty with the medium as a whole, like, is the fact that you have a lot of video reviews, and video reviews by their very nature are almost impossible to, like, find if you're the copy editor and be like, this is plagiarism.
Oh yeah.
Unless it's like comparing larger sized review sites or YouTubers or whatever. So I'm unsure how to proceed forward, just based on that kind of level of YouTube is super wide. Everything to start up your own YouTube channel is pretty cheap. And if you invest a little bit of time, you can do pretty good work.
Yeah.
It's just like, and since there's so much of that available, and you can pare it down to your niche audience, your niche friends, and like, maybe there are people who are diehard Boomstick Gaming channel fanatics, and they watch that guy's reviews because clearly he reviews things pretty well.
Yes.
And you know, etc. So I just find it more difficult in today's age when everything is shifting towards video reviews, that how are we going to balance out the how are we going to monitor for plagiarism unless it's like self-reporting, but then it's a smaller channel trying to self-report, which in this case actually ended up doing something, but in other cases maybe not. And conversely, there might be like smaller places or other places that are just seeking to increase drama and increase their profile. So they'll say they plagiarized what I did, and then they'll have done it like post hoc.
Right. Well, hey, I think it's a complex issue, but one that I believe most people believe is plagiarism should not exist and should not happen. Or
that's
not
a pretty
everyone,
cut and dry opinion, yeah.
I would say. So I hope that Boomstick Gaming is doing well. I hope Motion Twins, selling more copies of Dead Cells, and I hope that it's unfortunate that Philip Mewson had to go out like this, losing his job over this one mistake. I think I would say it's a huge mistake. I actually liked his he did the Nintendo podcast that IGN puts out every week. He was the host of the show. I actually really liked that show. They're still continuing on without him, so it's still a great show. I still like it. I like the people that usually come onto the show. So that being said, I hope everyone's all right in this situation. I hope that IGN doesn't really get fucked over because of it, but perhaps they should vet their editors.
Handled it pretty well.
I think IGN handled it great, but that doesn't mean that people are going to discredit them, or it doesn't mean that people are not going to discredit them in the future,
but
right?
People are also trying to look for that kind of thing too.
Yeah, no, I know they are.
There's only so much that they can do. I
think this
they
is just
well.
fueling that flame that exists now, and now it's in full rage. But anyways, that's what the internet always is anyways, a full flaming ball of rage. Ivan.
Yo.
Thanks so much for telling everyone out there that plagiarism is just unacceptable and discussing this topic with me.
I'm going to take that wicked, aggressive stance.
How could you? I hope everyone enjoyed the podcast.
I'm so brave, everyone.
We end our podcast every single week in a song in a segment called Hungover Radio. This is where you, the listener or viewer, can send in your music. Hopefully a song that you wrote, song that you played an instrument on. Maybe your friends want some free advertisement. We'll play it at the end of the podcast. If no one sends in a song to gaming hungover gaming gmail.com. Links in the description below. Don't worry, you can send it to us, and we'll put it in the next podcast for everyone's listening pleasure and link it out, that type of stuff. You get the clicks. We get to listen to cool music. Everyone gets to listen to cool music. That would be great. If no one sends in a song, I get to pick a song. It's usually going to be a video game song. And wouldn't you know it, I've picked one, Vaughn.
Oh, shit.
This one...
Is it from Dead Cells?
Is from Dead Cells, OST, the title menu. We're going to play it for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoy the song. Hope you guys go pick up the game. It's very fun. And Ivan...
Yeah.
Aren't you going to be streaming very soon? Tonight?
Yeah.
What are you going to be streaming?
We're going to be checking out a new game and then maybe going back to an old game, depending on if we get bored or tilted. Either way. So we're going to go with 2 games with over in the title, Overcooked and Overwatched.
Yes, it will be fun. Maybe we'll not be friends at the end of it. I hear that's what it does.
That's my hope.
Overcooked 2 is going to be streamed at twitch.tv/ComradeBoyer. Go ahead and give him a follow for the notifications of when he's going live. Ivan,
yo,
thanks for doing the podcast, man. Catch you next.
Thanks for presenting this topic, dude.
Yeah, of course. Catch everyone next week. And if you'd like to send in a topic, maybe send it in to get in contact with us. All our links in the description below.
Yeah, mate.
Very good. We're done here. Goodbye.
Thank you.